Welcome to Bet the Edge on Tuesday, March 7th. Thanks to everyone watching on the NBC Sports YouTube channel. Coming up, senior writer for The Athletic, Dana O'Neill, will join us in a minute as we preview the Big Ten tournament. We'll dive into the early tournament matchups, as well as discuss which teams need to make a run to solidify an at-large big to the big dance. The three of us will also analyze which teams from the conference have a chance to make a deep run later this month. All that and more coming up right now. But first, Vaughn, listen, I need to talk to you, man. It's been a while since we've talked on the show. What'd you get into yesterday? Any juicy bets that hit or any sweats that you had?
Oh, my God. Well, yesterday's episode gave out 3 plays, and they were all insane plays, Brad. Sixers first half team total, Scott over, super easy one. South Alabama lost in the last minute for us, but if you watch the Atlanta Hawks Miami Heat, +3 cash in the final second. They were down by 5
Oh my
to
God.
a meaningless 3, and we cashed. So profitable night. And I just want to encourage everybody listening, because Brad and I are both the 2 of 3 most writing experts on the NBC Sports EDGE website. So we write the most articles. I'm 10-1 in my last 11 NBA picks and 13-7 in my last 20 college basketball. So head over to the website.
Yes.
Let's get some winners. Right, Brad?
Dude, hey, I love that you said that, because I want to tout myself a little bit. I went a perfect 5-0 on the Players Championship for derivative bets. The lowest odds we had were -105, so we're hitting a bunch of plus money bets in that. We're going to have more. We're going to talk about the players tomorrow. But first, let's bring in Dana O'Neill from The Athletic to talk about the Big Ten tournament. Welcome, Dana. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Calm before the storm. You know, it's March, so hanging in.
Yes. I need to get your guys' thoughts about the projected, the 13th seed Ohio State, who I've lost a ton of money on this year. Let me just go ahead and be frank. Versus the 12th seed Wisconsin. Game is Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Dana, how do you see this one shaking out?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You got one team that can't really defend and one team that really can't score, right? Ohio State, their struggles on defense are just everywhere, but they have started to play better lately. I think Bruce Thornton, the freshman, is starting to not play like a freshman, which is a big change, I think, for Ohio State. You know, Sewing and Sensabaugh are terrific. You knew they're going to be good, but they needed that other piece, which Thornton is providing. I just think maybe offensively they have a little bit too much firepower for Wisconsin to handle, because Wisconsin's pretty pedestrian. I mean, they always are, but they are especially incapable of scoring this year.
Yeah, I have to agree with that a lot. Ohio State's been a good fade for me, Brad, so I'm sorry to hear you've been actually backing them. But I agree with a lot of Dana said. I'm a little worried without Zed Key. They've showed against some bigger teams in Wisconsin with Stephen Crowell and Tyler Wall. Those are 2 bigs that could step out or play inside. So I don't feel confident in either team, because Wisconsin's on the bubble for me. I'd have them in a play-in situation right now. So if they lose this game, they're absolutely out. No chance of making it. But I'd probably look more towards the over if I'm betting this game, because I can't. Dan, I think we agree. We can't trust either of these teams.
No, you can't.
Yeah. But I think this next one is a little easier, though, because Minnesota and Nebraska match up. And I've been loving Nebraska lately. This team's been hot. All right, 5 wins last 7 games. And you get Minnesota. I mean, what are they really playing for at this point? So the Cornhuskers, I had to assume you think they win this game in advance. Are they a dark horse by any means with how well they've been playing?
I think they are. Honestly, it's kind of crazy to say, right? Because I feel like a month and a half ago, we thought Fred Hoiberg was going to lose his job. And now, you know, they are playing kind of with house money a little bit, right? Because nobody expected them to do much. But they're also playing as like the random team in the Power 5 that's actually excited to play in the NIT, right? Like they're thinking this is actually a great thing for us. We want to improve, because they want to keep playing, because they're playing so well right now. You know, Tominanga is so much fun to watch play, obviously, and Walker is terrific. I just think, they are rolling downhill with a little bit of confidence and energy, and there aren't a lot of teams that you can say that about, especially in that lower bottom half of the Big Ten right now, but they actually have it.
So would you say the winner of this, do they have a legitimate chance to beat Maryland in their next matchup?
Well, unless they move the Maryland game to College Park, absolutely. Maryland's inability to play anywhere outside the state of Maryland is a bit problematic for them. So, I would say absolutely. Why not?
Okay, well, listen, one little question I need to ask, Vaughn. You type this in, I need to know. Should I sprinkle a little of that 100-1 for Nebraska to win the Big Ten championship?
I'm not. I know it's going to sound dumb to people listening, but I actually did. You know, $5 to win 500. Like, the Cornhuskers are playing great basketball. Like, they're playing well-rounded basketball, good offense. They hung with Iowa, beat Iowa on the road in that last game to let everyone know we are playing our best basketball this season when it means the most. So I do think that they are the darkest horse in this
Okay.
race. But I'll say this too, because I found a great stat that would back up why I guess Nebraska or the winner of Wisconsin Ohio State would be a good bet. But teams that are off a bye in the Big Ten tournament are 14-10 straight up, but 5-18-1 ATS. 27%. So teams that have a bye in the Big Ten don't perform that well. And a team like Maryland on the road, that's a great fade in my opinion.
Wow. Listen, I love that stat. And, we talk about this all the time. You have to find value. For me, if I take 100-1, I just want them to have a clear and easy path. They don't have to play Purdue. They don't have to play against an Iowa team who I think can get, scorching hot in any game. We saw that when they played against Michigan State and they erased a 10-point deficit. Dana, let me ask you, which Thursday game are you most interested in watching?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit curious about Penn State and Illinois.
Okay.
First of all, I think Illinois is the most curious team in all of the Big Ten. I've had multiple coaches in the league tell me that they are arguably the most talented team in the conference in terms of athleticism, and they are also just the most, like, I don't even know what the word is, scattershot, just unreliable. They can be great, they can be terrible. They sometimes look like a team, they sometimes look like a bunch of just discombobulated parts. And then you got Penn State on the other side, who is in the tournament, I think, but in the tournament to the point where they're still at that risk. Like, if you get a bunch of upsets going, you don't want to have your presumed bid snatched away, right? They want a little bit of cushion. And so this will give them that cushion. Jalen Pickett, I think, is one of the best, most underrated players in the country. I'm curious to see him against Terrence Shannon is going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's just kind of like that old new kind of vibe going on. Illinois does not defend the three very well. Penn State tends to shoot the three very well, except for Seth Lundy right now, who can't find the ocean. So I think that's going to be an interesting game to watch.
Yeah, Penn State ended in very, very dramatic fashion in their previous game over this weekend. As someone who had Penn State money line, I pretty much wrote them off in that game, and I'm watching it. I'm like, there's no way they're going to win. There's no way. At the very last second, they pulled it out. But now they're a team that's on the bubble, and we're looking at them as now they're in the tournament. To me, I think they're still a play-in potential type team. I'd like to see them win a game here. And I would say this, Dana, because you'll be at the Big Ten tournament in Chicago, United Center, where the Bulls play. Illinois should have a good home crowd there. They should have an advantage over a team like Penn State, who Penn State won both meetings against Illinois earlier this year. So I'm definitely intrigued by this Fighting Illinois team as well. Speaking of the bubble, though, there's a ton of them. Michigan, Rutgers, Penn State, Wisconsin. Now Nebraska's working themselves in the mix. What teams are you really watching? What teams do you think could make or fall out of the NCAA tournament?
I think Michigan's really curious right now, because Michigan, to me, is good enough to win the Big Ten tournament, right? The way they've been playing lately, they've figured things out all of a sudden, but they still only have 3 quad one wins. You can't eliminate that. The way the committee thinks of things right now, your whole season does matter. Our Eamon Brennan wrote about that on The Athletic today in Bubble Watch, and he's right. Like, it used to be those last 10 games. They talked about that a lot, but now they want the totality of the season, and the totality of Michigan's season is very messy. They look really good right now, but 3 quad one wins is 3 quad one wins. You just can't get away from that, especially when there's so much similar messiness in the Big Ten. They aren't distinguishing themselves from the pack necessarily. So I'm very curious to see how they play going forward. Like I said, I think they could just get rolling and win the whole thing. It would not shock me, but they need a couple of wins here, I think, to secure a spot, because I think they're really in a dangerous position right now.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Jett Howard, Hunter Dickinson is a great combination. I think with how they've been playing lately, they're plus 2,000 to 20-1 to win the Big Ten. And I've been feeling, obviously just Nebraska is a lunch money bet, but Michigan is probably the best value bet at 20-1. Another team I really liked, I want to get your opinion on, is Michigan State to win the Big Ten, because over the last 4 games, 57% from 3, 49 of 85. They have 10 turnovers or less in 3 or 4. I mean, they're playing the best basketball of the season, probably similar to Michigan. Do you like these teams over maybe a Purdue?
I picked Michigan State to win the Big Ten tournament. For part of the reason that you just said, they're shooting the ball really well, obviously. I think what's also important, they haven't been defending as well lately, but they can defend. They did defend. They know how to do it. It's not like you're trying to it's not like Purdue or a team that doesn't really, or Ohio State that doesn't necessarily have a commitment to defense. They do. The way they're shooting the ball is absolutely terrific. As you put out, AJ Hoggard is taking better care of the basketball. You've got Tyson Walker, who's suddenly just on fire as he's been all season, but he's been really terrific lately. And the wild card as you get into these things is, look, the coach. The reason, the joke is January, February Izzo, right? There's a reason people say that. He knows what he's doing. You're giving him an extra day's rest now to get ready, and they only have to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think they are a very dangerous team right now to win the Big Ten tournament. Like I said, I picked them. I feel relatively confident in it even.
Wow, thank you. You guys gave me plenty to bet about. But first, let's talk about baseball. New MLB season, new rules, new stars. So pair it with the Roto-World Baseball Draft Guide. Get all the player profiles, rankings, and projections you need to hit your draft out of the park. Go to NBCSportsEdge.com/draft guide and use PIN25 to save 25% at checkout. All right, so let's talk about a couple of Big Ten teams that are projected to be 7 to 9 seeds. I had one that I wanted to ask about because for some reason I still can't get over this Iowa team. I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad. I can't figure them out. What are their chances in the NCAA tournament?
Neither does Fran McCaffrey, if it makes you feel any better. He's got the same question. Are we good? Are we not good? Look, Iowa has been Iowa for as many years as I can remember. When they hit the three and they play and when they hit lights out, they're really hard to beat. When they don't, they're relatively a debacle. So they are going to come down to matchups. They are going to come down to just how well they can actually start shooting the ball. I feel like they proved against Nebraska how vulnerable they can be. And that's always a trick with Iowa. Reliability is really important when you're trying to make these picks. And I'm not sure that they're terribly reliable.
Yeah, I agree with you. The defense is not there and has not been there for years. There's just a streaky team in general. I have Iowa as a 9 seed right now. I'm hoping that the committee pairs them up with Iowa State as an 8 seed. We just get these two teams out of here because I'm done with both of them, to be honest with you guys. But there is one team that, we didn't talk too much about at all. I know we're talking 7 and 9s right now, but one team that everybody loves and people just hate me for saying it, but Purdue is not good. Dana, Purdue is not that good. They have 2 guards that are freshmen, and that really relies on a lot when Zach Edey isn't at his best or being defended and double teamed really well. So my question to you is, is Purdue a 1 seed, a 2 seed, or 3 for you in the NCAA tournament? And what do you think of them moving forward? Do you think they can make a run, or are they a team that's getting knocked off Sweet 16 or before then?
I think they're probably going to land at a 2 seed. I think obviously, Kansas, Houston, Alabama, UCLA, I think probably are going to be your 1 seeds, right? And then they're going to land at a 2 seed. I think that's probably where they belong, considering the strength of their conference as well. I mean, as interesting as the Big Ten has been, it's not necessarily terrific, right? Going forward, I think you pointed out the great questions. Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer were terrific early, like lights out, these amazing freshman guards. And then you remember they're freshmen. It's a much longer season in college than it is in high school. People see you twice. You become a lot easier to defend. And as great as Zach Edey is only as good as the guys who can get him the ball. He's not Trace Jackson Davis, who can go out and create his own shot or hit a jumper. He's got to have someone feed him the ball. So when those guards are neutralized, I think Purdue becomes very beatable. And I think we're seeing that down the stretch. Now, they're going to have some time to regroup here going into the Big Ten tournament. They don't play until Friday. I think it's a little dangerous to count them out, but you take all of that, you take Matt Painter's history in the NCAA tournament, it becomes a tricky pick, I think, just because of their vulnerability at the guard position. They were so good, but they're just starting to look like freshmen. And, and then you take everybody else on the, Ethan Morton is kind of like he's a great defender, but offensively, he's an add 0. Like you're not getting anything out of that position. So it becomes very limited, I think, real quickly for Purdue.
So if Purdue goes on and wins the Big Ten championship, do you think they have any chance to be a number 1 seed?
It depends on what happens elsewhere, right? I think UCLA is probably, the Pac-12 is so horrible. So if UCLA is in a position where you can't lose a crummy game and make an argument for a 1 seed, especially if Purdue goes on and wins the Big Ten tournament. But because I feel like Houston and Kansas are locks. Alabama, again, is going to be interesting, but Alabama's strength of schedule, what they've done, they're going to be hard to push off too, I think. So I think it's going to come down to between Purdue and UCLA. And if either one of them has a better finish than the other, much stronger, and the other one kind of falls apart, maybe Purdue sneaks in, but I think it's going to be UCLA.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got UCLA as my 1 seed over Purdue. I've had that for about 2.5 weeks now.
Okay.
And it's been more of a popular opinion as time has gone on, which has made me feel pretty good about my positioning on Purdue right now. But one thing I did mention before we hit our next topic, I want to ask you about Indiana in general, because you mentioned Jackson Davis and how good they've been. But they've been another really streaky team that's kind of not played as well lately as they were, in January or February. Any strong opinions on them projected in the NCAA tournament, where they'll be?
Yeah, I mean, losing Xavier Johnson for good. I mean, they've been playing without him for a while. I guess it's good that they know going forward where you stand. I think they're probably like a 4 or 5, probably, if I'm guessing right. I'm thinking. I think they're really good. I think you're right. I think they're streaky. I went and saw them. I was out there with them for a couple of days, and their defense was a lot better for a while, but it's kind of hot and cold. I think the thing that I get frustrated with Indiana about is sometimes, this is how I was phrasing it. It's like when you write a word and you use a $1 million word versus just a simple word. Sometimes they try to be a little bit too elaborate and they get messy. They get very fancy. Yeah. I'm like, just pass the ball, for heaven's sakes. You don't get extra points if it's fancy. And they make me nervous that way. So I think they're good. I think they're dangerous. But I also think, I feel like I keep saying this about everybody, but this has been the tenor of this season. Everybody is vulnerable. I don't think there's any team in the country that I'm going to be like, yep, I'm riding them all the way. So I think Indiana, again, vulnerable.
Well, thank you. Before we get into our next topic, let me go ahead and read this promo. Download the Roto World app to receive breaking player news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting your favorite players on your roster. Get the latest injury updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It's available in your app store today. So one team we haven't touched on yet that I need to know about, because I think this is a team that's quietly good, that not too many people talk about, or probably not too many people bet, and that's Northwestern. They're 7-2 against the spread in their last 9. Are they a team that can make a run? They're around plus 900 to make the Final Four. Are they a team that can make the run in the NCAA tournament?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was one of those things, like Northwestern got good and we're like, oh, isn't that cute? And then it lasted. We're like, oh, wait, is this real? And now it's kind of like, oh, it's cute again. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I look at Northwestern. I mean, look, they are way better than I anticipated they would be, considering where they were last year. Chris Collins has done a fantastic job. If I were voting for Coach of the Year in the league, I would probably give it to him. He has just done an amazing job getting this team right. Do I see Northwestern as my pick if I'm picking a team in the Big Ten to go into the Sweet 16? No. I just don't. I feel like it's probably more wow, they got really hot for a while. They really believed in themselves. They're interesting. They're fun. Boo Booey's terrific. All of those things are true, but I'm just not sure that that's the team to hit your wagon to.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. They are pretty cute. They're a cute team in all general consensus. I'd have to say there's a lot of teams I'd rather be taking here to make a Final Four run on our screen that you're seeing. A la Michigan State for sure. Yeah. Even Memphis might be a team. I'd consider Memphis over top of them. West Virginia has been another streaky team as well that's now in the tournament by a lot of experts that were out maybe a few weeks ago. So before we get your winner on who you think is going to take the Big Ten, which I think I might already know who you're going to take, I think we're going to be on the same side. Are there any other teams in the field, the whole NCAA field, that you feel could win it all or make a run, whether they're projected to be a top seed or whether, they might be a Cinderella?
You mean in the entire NCAA tournament?
Entire tournament.
Right. I think it's interesting. Like usually I think by now you can say there's probably 10 teams that you think that can win it. This year, I think you can expand that list to 15, maybe even 20. Wow. There are teams like, hey, if UConn gets hot, can UConn win it? Yep. Absolutely. Marquette, Creighton, right. You go out to the team that nobody's talking about, that everybody used to talk about, Gonzaga. Nobody's talking about Gonzaga. I get why they're not talking about Gonzaga, but I mean, what if they start shooting the ball really well? Julian Strawther and Drew Timme are a nice pair. Their guards, I know, aren't as good as they used to be. They're still good enough. Again, Houston is the obvious candidates and all that. If Kentucky rolls downhill, can Kentucky win it? Sure, why not? I mean, there's just so many teams out there.
Yeah.
It's such a weird year. I could give you a list of 15 to 20, I think, right now that I could pick to win a national championship. By now, you never say that.
I
Wow.
love that. I'm in complete agreement. I think this field is so wide open. I even placed a ticket on Texas A&M to win the
Yeah.
national
Okay.
title at 125 to 1, and now that's down to like 60 to 1. And they're a very streaky team too in the SEC, where Alabama, with all that's going on for them,
Oh
they
yeah.
might be dropping off. They might be
I mean,
dropping off. So
I saw on your list, I mean, Baylor. Baylor to me, I
Baylor
think
too.
great team.
but every time I want to get all in on Baylor, they lose. And I'm like, all right, but they've got the pieces to do it, right? They've got the bigs, they've got the guards, they've got the experience. I think they're interesting. Arizona's interesting. Like I said, we could go on and on with like a bunch of teams for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams too who had shorter prices to start the season. They kind of stumbled around midseason. Now they have bigger prices, but still have the pedigree, still have the coaching to be able to win the tournament. Let me get one last Big Ten question from you. Do you have a most outstanding player that you're kind of looking at?
Well, I think that the choice comes down to if you're going tournament and season wide, it's Zach Edey versus Trace Jackson Davis, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's the question. I have waffled on that. I'll be honest with you. Early on, I was all in on Zach Edey, but as I said, once it kind of got to that point where it was like, he's kind of exposed isn't the right word, because he's still really, really good, but he's really, really good because he's just gigantic.
Yeah.
Trace Jackson Davis is so valuable to his team. He can create so much for his team. I wonder if maybe he's the one that's more valuable overall. If you're talking about in this tournament, it's going to be somebody, in my opinion, from Michigan State, because Michigan State's going to win it all. And if I'm picking somebody from Michigan State, I'm picking Tyson Walker, who is probably like the smallest dude on the floor, but he plays like a lion. He scores from everywhere. He plays defense. He's been their leader the entire season. So if my pick is Michigan State to win it, I'm picking the best guy on Michigan State as that most outstanding player, and that's going to be Tyson Walker.
Nice.
I love that. Yeah, I'm going to be on Michigan State as well. I think I'm going to split my unit sizes, take the Spartans, take the Wolverines of Michigan, and then Nebraska gets my lunch money for the afternoon. So that's how I'll be rolling with the Big Ten. So I'd love to hear that, Dana. I do want to ask you, though, because I'm jealous. Like I said, I'm a Bulls fan. I've never been to the United Center. You're going to be there all week covering the Big Ten. What are your must-do things out there? What are you going to be up to outside of watching basketball?
I wish I had time. I would like to just be able to take a walk down, the Magnificent Mile and just enjoy Chicago a little bit, get myself some good food, maybe some deep dish pizza. I'm from New Jersey, so I'm like, I'm a thin crust girl. But when you go to Chicago, you got to do what you got to do. I get it. But honestly, like, Thursday, Friday, I'm going to be in the gym from like, 10:30 to 11:30. So we'll see hopefully I'm just going to hope they have some decent concession stands and some good games and give me some buzzer beaters and I'll be happy.
That sounds great, Dana. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find your content and what are you working on right now?
Yeah, of course, always at The Athletic. TheAthletic.com is where we hang. I am working on, I've got a story coming up soon about Xavier and sort of Sean Miller's pivot to being more into offense than being into defense like he used to be at Arizona. I got a Drew Timme story coming out before the NCAA tournament. And of course, whatever happens in the next 4 days in Chicago, I'll be writing about that.
Thank you so much for your time. That is Dana O'Neill of The Athletic.
Thank you, Dana.
Okay, guys, don't miss Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and Justin Thomas as the best golfers in the world take on the 17th Island Green and go head-to-head at the Players' Championship Thursday through Sunday on NBC Golf and Peacock. And also, tomorrow, Jay Croucher, myself, and Paige McKenzie will give out our favorite bets and a little course breakdown of TPC Sawgrass on Bet the Edge, same time. Vaughn, let's get into our favorite bets, man. I want to start this off because I don't get to talk Champions League too often on this show, and we have some lines that have massive value. So Champions League, for those who know, is one of the biggest soccer competitions, and I'm taking a look at Benfica versus Club Brugge. Listen, it is a total mismatch. If you look at these two teams, you have a team in Benfica who is a powerhouse in Portugal versus Brugge, who is once a powerhouse in Belgium, but has really struggled. They've only have 2 wins in their last 8, and those 2 wins are against probably teams that are going to get relegated. I'm going to be on 2 plays here. I'm going to put 1 unit on Benfica to win in under 4.5 goals. That's around -130. And Benfica to win in under 3.5 goals. That's at +125 for half a unit. Why I like that, you have to think that even though they're up 2-0 on aggregate, most teams kind of want to coast. They're welcoming their squad into their arena. They need to put on a performance. They are light years better against this team. I think they're going to be able to keep a clean sheet. And a performance in soccer is like 2-0, 3-0. They have such good quality. But a lot of people remember the quality of Benfica being their attacking prowess. Yeah, we see Darwin Nunez, who scored a brace a couple days ago for Liverpool, who was once the guy at Benfica. Well, they just keep replacing. Now they got Giancarlo Ramos, who's scoring a ton. But let's really talk about their defense and their back line. They are a stout defense, allowing less than a goal per contest at home. Bruges are not scoring, so I like Benfica to win. You can pair that up with under 4.5 to get it at -130 and pair it up with under 3.5 to get plus money. Vaughn, what's your favorite play of the day or of the weekend?
All right, I love that. So I got 3 college basketball plays today. I know I've been really, really hot in NBA, but nothing really caught my attention in NBA. And the line I did like was a little too high for my liking. So we pivot back to college basketball. We're going to start off with a team that was so good to us last year, Brad, the Vermont Catamounts, baby. If you went to the website, you saw I risked 2 units on them to win the conference. And they only started off with like a 30-point win in their first game. No big deal. But if you look back to last year, they won an average of 37.3 points per game in the American East tournament. They are still, without a doubt, the best team in their field. The spread was 13.5 last night. If you were on the NBC Sports EDGE website, you would have betted with me. And I woke up this morning, I said it closed at 15. It's out to 15.5 actually. So once you pass 15, I would risk half a unit on that. But I still think the Catamounts roll. They already beat this team, smacked this team earlier this season. We'll go to the next league here. See, at PointsBet has Vermont at 15.5 still. So yeah, we're gonna see that, Brad. I think it's still good, but half a unit there. Let's go to Boston College, taking on the best fade. You like to back Ohio State. You hopefully did not back Louisville at all this season, because Louisville is 4-27. They're in the first round of the ACC tournament. What in God's name are they playing for today? When Boston College gets the ACC Comeback Player of the Year, he might be getting some playing time today. Quentin Post coming back. Then you see DeMar Langford, who was sick for the past 2 weeks. He's coming back today too. So Boston College playing great basketball lately. 3-1 in their last 4 games. They dropped their last game. But Bart Torvik's a good friend of ours. And since Boston College's last 4 games, Eagles 66th overall, Louisville 215th.
Wow.
So take Boston College -6, -5.5, or take them in a money line parlay. They should be advancing. And I also found a great stat that ACC teams favored in the first round are 17-1 in their last 18 straight up. So that would be Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and Boston College. I think BC is the neatest one there. And the final game, Brad, because I'm getting winded. Gonzaga. I like the Bulldogs, baby. I took them over the weekend to win their conference at -135 and -140 odds. Hilarious that they come out at -145 against St. Mary's straight up. So I could have just skipped that and just played this game. But I didn't anticipate such a low spread. But Dana alluded to Gonzaga being so well lately and how they can go on a run. They win this game. They're a 2 seed for me. Gonzaga's been balling offensively, the #1 ranked team offensively in the past month, and #3 in Bart Torvik's rankings, while St. Mary's is 21. So I know Gonzaga beat them the last time out, but Gonzaga's playing the best basketball of the entire season right now. I think they win this game. So Vermont, Gonzaga, Boston College. Let's go.
That sounds like a yes from me. You already know I'm absolutely gonna tail. Man, this was fun, dude. I love doing shows with you. Don't forget to check out NBCSportsEdge.com for more information to help you out with your wagers. I'm also going to have some players' derivative bets on the website tomorrow and Wednesday for you guys to get a little bit more action. For those who are watching on the NBC Sports YouTube channel, please make sure you rate and you subscribe. Smash that like button. And also, those listening in podcast form, rate and subscribe. Thank you. I'm Brad Thomas for Vaughn Dalzell. Have a great day.